It's a nice afternoon, and people sometimes have things on their mind. Maybe a little bit of snow is on your minds. Well, or maybe a lot of snow is on your mind. Thank you for joining us today. I see some of our Sunday friends here tonight for the vigil. I think that, let's say, we used to have a governor who used to talk about making prudential judgments. Kind of coming on Saturday evening when it's going to be a stormy Sunday, that's your prudential judgment. Nice thinking, that's all right. And it's interesting too, just in thinking about this, I know that I'm reminded about just the icy cold we've had recently. I remembered when I was in another assignment, I was in the northernmost part of our diocese, covering towns in Chestertown and Hague and North Creek. And sometimes when people became ill and they went to the hospital, they went to hospitals in Burlington, because Burlington, Vermont was closer to them than Albany, New York was. To give you an idea of how far north that was. And that when I was staying in Hague, I could go to the grocery stores in Ticonderoga. So I mean, I was a little further north. I was in Essex County, which is outside of our diocese. And the reason I kind of mention that is that, well, I knew people, especially in Hague, who at times they would fish in Lake George or the southernmost parts of Lake Champlain. They enjoyed fishing, but really they needed the fish to supplement their diets. There were a lot of underemployed people in and around that area. And every fisherman has their secrets, what the spot they like or the lure they might use. And even ice fishermen. And I remember if I was driving to see parishioners who were in the hospital in Burlington, I'd cross the bridge at Port Henry or Crown Point and go into Vermont. And I usually see the shacks on the ice under the bridge. They were doing a lot of ice fishing going on the lower parts of Lake Champlain. Somebody invited me once to go ice fishing. I didn't get a chance to go because I had a little bit of a flu that weekend. But what happened, which was interesting, was that, here's Jesus walking by these fishermen, and he just talks to them. He doesn't say very much. Basically, he says to them, "Come, follow me." And they drop their nets, and they come. They leave their father behind, no less. They just drop everything and go to follow Jesus. You might wonder, did Jesus have a prior relationship with these fishermen that they would know him and say, "Oh yeah, I've thought about what you said, Jesus. I'm going to follow you"? Our gospel writer is not clear about that at all. But nonetheless, just thinking about, say, the attraction that someone like Jesus has, the way he draws them in. Much like a good fisherman has certain things to attract the fish and have a good catch, Jesus did the same here too. It's interesting that he talked to them about how they might fish for people. I'm bringing you the word, and I want you to go and share that word and go draw others, men and women and children, to be followers of Jesus. Maybe something for us to think about a little bit on a day like today, when maybe, what's in the front of our mind is the white stuff that's going to fall tomorrow and tomorrow night and Monday, and maybe Monday night too. Am I being repetitive there? No. What does it take for us to think about what's maybe especially attracted to us about Jesus? Why we can drop things and go and follow him. And then how can we, invite others in that same way? It might not always seem easy, but what can we do to offer the Lord to others, to touch their hearts as the Lord touched ours? May we think about the ways in which we can attract others to the words and ways and wisdom and gift of Jesus.